everyone, welcome to Music Webinars. Today we're having a fantastic chat, but before we do that, I would just like to pay our respects, our heartfelt respects to the first Australians, to our ancestors, to their descendants past and present, and we really do salute all of you. Absolutely, we respect you and we thank you for allowing us to live in this wonderful land that we call Australia. So what I have today, ladies and gentlemen, in Music Matters is an absolutely fabulous interview, which I know so many of you are going to really, really enjoy. For those of you who don't quite understand, because maybe you don't work in the industry, music really does matter. And music, the industry per se, the business, the entertainment business behind the music industry has suffered tremendously during the pandemic, and that's a global situation. And the recovery is slow. However, the industry rolls on. So if there's anything that you can do to support our musos, whether it's through going to a gig, whether it's buying their music online or buying it in some other shape, form or fashion, or their merchandising, please do support music. Wherever you live, just make that extra effort to look after our musicians, because our musicians look after our road crew who work with them, and all of the people that work in the music business basically feed off of that spectrum. Now, live gigs are really important, and at a live gig, you will see that there is probably going to be a stage. On that stage, you'll probably see there's either a solo performer or what they call a band, a number of musicians performing. And inside those elements, you have sound, you have lighting, and you have what they call stage management. That's just a very broad brush stroke of what it means in a live gigging mode to, have a performance happening where you hear music live on stage somewhere. And this gentleman that I'm about to introduce to you is quite an amazing man who I've had the absolute pleasure of working with throughout my time in the music industry. And I'm laughing because always this man, he's always loved his work. And in his work, every time he's been at a gig working, irrespective of the long hours or the problems that befall you in working with technology and, electricity and just human beings who might get a bit temperamental occasionally, this guy has always laughed his way through every single jam or problem or challenge that has been thrown at him in his working environment. So when you work with this guy, it's like such a good buzz because A, he wants to be there, B, he wants to do the very, very, very best that he can do at his gig, and C, that if anything falls over or something goes horribly wrong, and with live shows they do all the time, that he, within seconds, is going to rescue and remedy the situation, if not in minutes, if it's something dire and it's, something that involves a cast of thousands behind the scenes that us as an audience never get to witness or see. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to one of Australia's greatest audio engineers. I call them sound engineers, and I'll probably get wrapped over the knuckles for that, but it's audio engineer and tour manager. Now, he has done other things, but essentially this is the broad brush stroke. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to introduce you to the wonderful, the famous, fabulously adored by the music biz, Mr. Pixie Michaels. Yay! Welcome, Pixie.
I don't even know how to come to you after that. Wow.
I know, I thought you'd hate it. You'd be like a curveball here. Cop this, remember this.
Oh, you brought back some memories there for sure, In the middle of that, I was going, oh, God, she only knew some of the things that really happened,
I love it. Well, we can't talk about a lot of the things, but that one we can. But look, seriously, you have, whether it's been the audio engineer hat, whether it's been a tour manager hat, the promoter, maybe sometimes even like the recording production side of things, you've worked with so many people. I got Pixie to actually send me the list of who he had worked for, ladies and gentlemen, over the years. And seriously, it reads just like a who's who. And, we've got the Australian acts at the top end. We've got US acts at the top end, UK acts at the top end, and so on. It's just the most amazing the most amazing list of performers. I mean to say, you've got Casey and the Sunshine Band, you've got Wendy Matthews, you've got Tony Childs, you've got Ziggy Marley, you've got Colin Hay, you've got Lisa Marie Presley, you've got the Red Hot Chili Peppers, you've got Captain Matchbox, you've got Renee Geyer, you've got My Sex, you've got the Angels, the Divinals, Richard Clapton, the Choir Boys, Angry Anderson. The list just goes on and on of these fabulous, fantastic performers. So, Pixie, tell us, how did you actually start out in the music industry?
I was asked to do a gig by my brother for a band that were local band where I grew up in Faulkner. He was already amongst the music thing. I wasn't. I was in another world. And one day he came up, he said, look, I need you to cover me to do a roadies gig. And I looked at him and I said, what's a roadie? You know, he goes, it's a guy that helps the band out, load gear in and load out. And I went, he goes, I'll pay you. And I went, oh, yeah, okay. So I did. The band was called Volcano. And they were sort of known in the area. And, you know, I knew nothing about it. But at the end of that gig, the first gig, they said, oh, you come back and do next week as well. I went, well, sure. And they landed $20 in my hand. At that time, I was a printer, apprentice printer in my third year, and I was earning $34 a week.
Wow.
40-hour week. And that was the state of play around, 1976, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
Around that time. And just in that time, the guy asked me a question. He said, oh, what do you do for a living, mate? And I went, oh, I'm a printer. And he looked at me and said, well, you'll be out of a job in 10 years, won't you? And I looked at him and he went, this digital thing's going to, digital printing is going to knock all that stuff out. I went, oh, yeah, okay. And again, I did my gig. I got $20 and there was girls and there was music and there was drinks and there was sex, drugs and rock and roll. What can I say? And I got paid for it. And I went, this is good. This is good. So I just sort of got stuck into it, basically. And really, I think the change came was when a guy called Joe Gualtieri, who managed a band called Texas. And you'd know Joe Gualtieri because he ran Bombay Rock, he ran Bananas. He was a well-known gentleman. He approached me one day, he said, look, I need a sound guy, mate. And I went, yeah. He goes, we're going to Adelaide. We're going to do a couple of gigs there, and I need a sound guy with you and a driver for the truck. And at that time, I had my own truck. And I said, yeah, I'll do that for you. And he said, can you do sound? I said, yeah, sure. And my only experience of doing sound before that was loading in a PA for the other band that I'd worked for, which happened to be, and I told you this story, Pink Floyd's PA, which was a weird system, right? Which was left here by Pink Floyd when they toured Australia back in the day. And the guy that was running the sound at that time for that band acquired this PA, and it was like, wow, this is Pink Floyd's PA, and he breaks a little mixer which was this big. And it had these little row of knobs there, and I looked at this thing, I was fascinated by it. I was like, what's this thing do, And he went through it, and I went, oh, yeah, but I could never touch it. I could never play with it because it was his PA. So I took the gig on, and Joe showed me how to wire the PA up and basically how to mix from that point, how it worked. And I fell in love with it. That was it. I was gone. That's where I wanted to be a sound engineer. That was it. So basically, that's how it started for me.